Welcome CandleLight Audiobook. The Secret Misses. Chapter 491. This should not be possible. She had already introduced him as a newly made friend. Forget it. Instead of guessing, she should just test him. Luna thought about it, then asked, "Big boss, guess how Angelo and I met?" As Luna spoke, she took the opportunity to secretly look at Theo's expression. He was, really, in fact, jealous. When she saw Theo looking morose to the point that he could not disguise it any longer, Luna buried her face in her hands and could not help but laugh. In her heart, Theo had always been tall, mighty and dominant, with a sense of maturity and stability. The fact that he was jealous of a beggar was something she had never even thought would happen. Okay, it was also her fault that she forgot that after cleaning up, Angelo was rather handsome and would probably be a ladies' magnet. How? Theo looked like he wanted to know, yet he did not want to at the same time. It was beyond complicated. Luna held her chin and looked at the devil's expression. The more she looked, the more she thought it was cute. She just wanted to throw herself onto him and give him a kiss. He was someone I picked up on the streets. Picked up on the streets? When he heard this answer, Theo clearly looked very taken aback. Yeah. Unexpected, isn't it? Angelo, who sat shotgun, heard their conversation and laughed. If it had not been for Luna, I would probably still be begging on the streets of Los Angeles. When they heard this, Theo and Alex were shocked. Alex especially, his head was wild with thoughts about some foreign affair with sparks of romance and then her bringing her lover home. He did not expect such a miraculous situation at all. Indeed, the lady boss was so unpredictable that the average person's thought process did not apply to her. When she saw that the tension in Theo had finally dropped a notch, Luna started to share the process of how she met Angelo. After the advertisement was wrapped up, I was prepared to go shopping. I was happily wearing my new dress when suddenly a beggar came up to me and said one word, "Ugly." I swear I was so angry. Luna described the story in detail to Theo, and he listened patiently with a focused expression throughout the story. He suitably responded and asked questions interjectedly, even inviting Angelo to say a few words here and there. The atmosphere in the car suddenly turned from winter to spring. Alex breathed a sigh of relief. The danger had been resolved and the boss's rationality was back online again. That's what happened. So, Angelo is not only my new friend but also my future business partner. We have decided to start a fashion design studio, whereby I'll provide the funds and he'll do the work. Theo's tightened expression for the entire car ride had finally relaxed at this point. No wonder the two of them had returned to the country together. Why did you suddenly want to start a studio? Theo asked. Of course, it's for you. Apart from acting, she suddenly had other ambitions and it was all because of him. Luna thought about it, then answered, "Well, it's not a sudden urge. I previously have had such plans already. It just so happened that this time, the perfume advertisement fees were released and then even more coincidentally, I picked up the designer I had been a fan of for a long time while shopping. This is fate." She herself felt that her luck was off the charts. Chapter 492. Luna's sparkling eyes looked at Theo, so miraculous. "Big boss, I noticed that ever since I have met you and Little Treasure, my luck has started to be positive, and no matter what I do, it all goes well. The two of you must be my lucky stars. One small lucky star and one big lucky star." Theo could not help but laugh. "Is that so?" Alex was in tears. The lady boss was amazing. The boss was actually laughing. Because Angelo did not have a place to stay in Imperial, Theo accompanied Luna to look for a hotel near Regal Riviera Hotel for him to settle down. Luna stood at the door and waved, "Angelo, I'll leave now. Rest well tonight, I'll come looking for you tomorrow. I'll bring you to buy new clothes, bags, handphones, and as for whatever else you're lacking, we'll see." Angelo was touched. "Actually, there's no need for so much trouble. All I need is a place to stay." Luna immediately pouted. "How can you say that? I'm now responsible for you." Angelo teared and he said, "Thank you, boss." "Hey, Angelo's vulnerable demeanor really made it too easy for people to feel protective over him. Luna said gently, "Good, go to sleep now." Once they walked out of the hotel, Luna lamented, "Big boss, I only now understand that it feels pretty awesome to be a boss. To be your employee would be pretty awesome too." Theo subconsciously mumbled to himself. "What?" Luna had not heard him. It's nothing. Have you chosen the location of the studio yet?" Theo asked. Luna scratched her head as she answered, "Not yet. This is not a small issue. I need to properly give it some thought. Later, let me know your requirements and budget. I can help you list down a few suitable locations," said Theo. Luna naturally felt bad when she heard this. It would trouble you too much. Theo was such a busy person, how could she trouble him for something small like this? Theo shot her a look instead and said carefully, "It's not too troublesome, you're my responsibility." Luna coughed. "Okay, devil, you win." The car reached Regal Riviera Hotel very soon. Luna was just about to bid Theo goodbye and get down from the car when his phone suddenly rang. Theo indicated for Luna to wait a while, then picked up the phone. I'm still out. What? When did this happen?" "Okay, I'll return immediately." When she heard Theo's slightly panicked voice, Luna immediately asked worriedly, "What's wrong?" Theo remained controlled as usual. He patted her head and said, "Nothing, go rest now." Luna did not get out of the car. Instead, she sat in the same spot and stared at him. Theo laughed, "It's really nothing, there's just a slight problem at the office. I'll go over to have a look." "I'm not lying to you, go now." Luna still did not move and her gaze looked even sharper. "Did something happen to Little Treasure?" Theo clearly looked a little shocked, as if he did not expect her to guess. When she saw Theo's expression, Luna knew that she had hit the nail on its head. Actually, she did not know why she was so confident either, but she just had a gut feeling. "What's wrong with Little Treasure?" Suddenly, Luna's heart lurched in her throat. Theo gently consoled her, "It's a small thing, just a little fever. You know how it is, it's very common for a child to get a fever. The doctor has already been sent over and I'll immediately go home to see him now too, it's not too much of an issue." Even though Theo said it casually, Luna did not feel assured at all. She held her hand to her heart that was beating faster and she had an unexplainable bad feeling about this. Chapter 493. Even though Theo had said it casually, Luna did not feel assured at all. She held her hand to her heart that was beating faster and she had an unexplainable bad feeling about this as she pleaded, "Theo, bring me with you, I won't make things awkward for you. I won't go in, I'll just wait outside and if there's nothing, then I'll come back. If not, even if you let me go home now, I'd definitely not be able to fall asleep." He saw the girl's unbelievably determined attitude but Theo still held himself back, as if there was something he could not say. "Okay?" Luna tugged on the hem of Theo's sleeves and was pretty much begging as she shook her head stubbornly. Theo frowned and his expression became more serious as he contemplated it. At last, he looked at her and chose his words carefully before finally saying, "Okay, Luna, listen to me, Little Treasure, he's not just having a simple fever. Actually, it might be a little serious. I can bring you along but you can't be too emotional." As soon as Theo said that, Luna's tears started to fall. "Little Treasure is in a serious condition?" "What is it?" "How can he be in a serious condition when he was fine before? Didn't you just say it was only a fever? Why is the fever serious? And you said you weren't lying to me. Is there anything else you're hiding from me?" Theo did not expect that Luna would cry instantly and he did not know what to do. He quickly told Alex to drive to the old residence while he fumbled for tissue to let her wipe her tears. He said helplessly, "I was afraid that you would be exactly like this, so I did not dare bring you along. Look at you, we're not even there yet and you're like this. How will you be when you see Little Treasure later?" Luna cried even harder and could not even speak coherently anymore. Theo's heart was about to break at her cries and since he was not good at cheering people up, he could only hug her in his embrace and pat the back of the sobbing girl. "If I knew, I wouldn't have told you. He did not expect that Luna's reaction would be even worse than he thought. In front, Alex, who was driving, was also shocked, speechless. He was not only shocked because someone with a strong personality like Luna could display such a vulnerable side, but he was even more shocked by the gentle side of his boss. He had really broken the record today with these new insights. What shocked him the most was the fact that the feelings between the two of them were really like a pair of husband and wife who were worried for their beloved son. Not a single feeling of violation. Luna was already feeling remorseful. Why had she only seen Little Treasure in a rush when she sent Theo to the old residence back then? She had left so quickly. Why didn't she care for Little Treasure more? Why was she afraid of contacting Little Treasure too much for the sake of the two oldies? Why was her skin not thicker? After crying for a long while, Luna finally recovered from her emotions and she begged, "Theo, don't keep any secrets from me, I want to know." Theo replied, "Then, you must promise not to cry anymore." "I can't promise." Theo buried his face in his hands. Finally, he could only compromise and he tried his best to explain in a gentle tone, "Actually, it's an old issue. From the moment Little Treasure had that incident, he would have such outbreaks once in a while and a high fever is one of the symptoms. But what's different from the usual fever is that the high fever won't stop, no matter what. There is just no way to break the fever." Chapter 494. Luna looked stunned. How could this be? Theo quickly consoled her, "Since the last time this has happened half a year ago, it hasn't repeated. This time might also be just a normal fever, so don't be too worried." Luna knew that it definitely was not just a simple fever, otherwise Theo would not have sounded like that earlier. "Alex! Stop the car!" Luna suddenly shouted at Alex. Alex knew that even if he did not obey the boss, he had to obey the lady boss. Thus, he parked the car at the roadside obediently. "Miss Brown, what is it?" Luna did not say anything, opening the door then walking to the front to open the door of the driver's seat. "You go sit at the back." "Ah." Alex was taken aback. Luna could not wait any longer. She dragged him by the collar and stuffed him into the back seat before she got into the driver's seat and stepped on the accelerator. The engine growled fiercely and the car flew like an arrow. Alex did not know how to react and he was so frightened that his heart felt like it could jump out any time. He quickly held tightly onto the handles in the car and looked at the girl behind the wheel in horror. Just a second ago, she had just been a crying vulnerable little rabbit. How did she suddenly change into such a serious queen of speed? Couldn't she at least have given him a warning? Theo looked at his speeding wife and wanted to say something but did not. Fine, speed away. It was good for her to let it out too. The car kept overtaking other vehicles and speeding past with quick, skillful turns. Felt nauseous as he looked to his big boss for help, hoping that he could advise her to slow down. Who knew that all he saw was the big boss' loving and tolerating gaze at her. A moment later, they neared the old residence. The car remained at the speed of 400 miles per hour, and as he saw that the car was about to hit the gate, Alex could not bear to look and squeezed his eyes shut. In the next second, Luna hit the emergency brakes. The car stopped half a meter from the gate of the old residence. She quickly parked and turned her head to urge, "Theo, go in quickly." "Okay, you wait for me here." Theo got down from the car and walked briskly into the brightly lit residence courtyard. In the back seat, Alex was practically crawling out of the car. As soon as he got off, he held onto a big tree and puked his guts out. In the living room, everyone looked nervous. Lu Chongshan was anxious and Margaret had cried her eyes out. When they saw Theo had returned, Margaret was relieved as though her backbone had been restored in her body. She quickly went to greet him. "Tingxiao, you're finally back. Quickly go see Little Treasure." Theo immediately walked into Little Treasure's room and saw that the little guy lay on the bed looking as pale as paper with cracked lips and his little body was twitching non-stop. A group of doctors surrounded him and everyone looked uneasy. Theo's expression instantly darkened. Little Treasure's situation was even more serious than he had thought. "How did this happen?" Theo questioned frigidly. Margaret clearly tried to avoid his gaze. We're not sure either. Little Treasure didn't look too good since this afternoon, so we got the doctors to come have a look and they said it was a small fever, not too big of a deal. In the middle of the night, his temperature suddenly shot up to 40 degrees and his body started to have spasms. His temperature would not go down, no matter what. It is the exact same situation as before. Chapter 495. Have you tried the medication? Theo asked. Tom, who was trying to reduce Little Treasure's temperature with alcohol, wiped the sweat from his forehead and straightened up. He looked serious as he said, I have, it's the same as before, it's helpful immediately, but very soon, the temperature went up again. Little Treasure's body is too weak and he is not used to the frequent use of such strong medicine. Sedatives are out of the question as well, or else it would be of further harm to him than the illness. Margaret cried as she watched the body of her dearest grandson twitch helplessly. Well, we can't watch Little Treasure continue like this. All you doctors, aren't you all of top-notch quality? Why can't you treat a fever like this? Tom said, his head aching. There are many things that even the medical field can't explain. We've already done many checks on Little Treasure before this and his body showed no other changes. Without any changes, the doctors have no reference point to deal with. Little Treasure is already so ill, how could you say there was no change? Clearly, it's your medical skills that are not up to par. Margaret said exasperatedly, refusing to listen to any further explanations. Matthew held his wife's shoulders and said, Rui, calm down. Little Treasure is already so ill, how can I be calm? You should have listened to me and invited people over to chase the demons away. These doctors aren't useful at all. Little Treasure looks like he's been possessed by the devil, the more I look at it. Either that or he's lost his soul. Margaret said emotionally. Matthew's expression changed when he heard this, and he scolded her. What devil possession and losing his soul? Why nonsense are you spewing? Little Treasure is on holiday today, he did not go to school or even go out. He has just been at home, what devils could he have possibly met? Margaret still would not give up. Then, explain to me, what's the reason? I would much rather believe it to be the truth. Matthew's face hardened and he could not help but remind her, the last time Little Treasure had an outbreak, I listened to you and invited some medium to call his soul back, and in the end? In the end, it turned out worse than Little Treasure's illness and you almost. How could you still think about all those nonsense? Do you want to kill Little Treasure? Then, let's go invite Master Xian Jing. Do you think Master Xian Jing is some wizard? You can try to invite him if you want. He never intervenes in things like this and you know that. Then you tell me what to do. While the two old ones fought, Tom pulled Theo to a corner and said in a lowered voice, Actually, I still think the main cause is psychological. I'll tell you secretly, the reason Little Treasure is like this is not unfounded. They were just afraid you'd be angry, so they did not dare tell you. Weren't your parents busy looking to set you up with a partner for a while now? Well, today Madam William came to visit your house and brought their daughter, Lily, along. I'm guessing Little Treasure accidentally bumped into them and he felt provoked. Theo's veins on his neck bulged out in vexation. Those two were his closest family members and yet, this incident was technically caused by them. Now, the two old ones were so frightened that they could get sick any time too. He could not say a single word of unkindness. Little Treasure is important. Just call Luna over to try and help. Tom expressed his final opinion. Theo frowned and sounded slightly frustrated. I'm afraid that if she comes over, there would be 2 sick people instead of just 1. Just from hearing about this, she could barely handle it. If she really saw Little Treasure in this state, how sad would she be? Chapter 496. Tom rubbed his nose after being scolded, but there aren't any other better options now. Sigh, actually, he knew that his suggestion was a hard one to pull off. It was very difficult for him to even blurt it out. Only after an intense battle of his thoughts did he say it. As a psychologist himself, he eventually had to rely on someone like Luna who was not from the industry. He was truly ashamed of himself. As she watched Little Treasure's condition become increasingly serious, Yen Rui cried until she was about to faint of exhaustion. Matthew too was shaken and could not hold on any longer. Theo cursed under his breath and called Luna in the end, Luna. Theo. How's little treasure? Is he okay? Is it not too big of a deal? Luna impatiently asked in one breath. It was hard for Theo to say, you, just come in. Wait, I'll go outside to get you. After he hung up, Theo quickly walked out of the door. Yen Rui became anxious when she saw Theo actually walking out. Theo, little treasure is already like this, where are you going? Theo did not reply, continuing to make quick and long strides. He did not even turn around and just walked out. At the courtyard gate, Luna had gotten down from the car and was walking back and forth outside. She would look at the courtyard nervously from time to time. She finally saw Theo's shadow. Lit. Before Luna could say anything more, Theo had opened the courtyard gate and grabbed her hand to walk in with him without saying anything further. Luna was speechless as she watched Theo hold her hand tightly, and she could roughly guess what the situation was inside. Little treasure was probably in an even more serious condition than she could ever imagine. A wave of fear that she had not felt before rose from her feet to her heart. At this very moment, little treasure's room was in a state of chaos. Then, from behind them came the sound of footsteps. Everyone turned around, and that was when they saw Theo had brought a girl along with him. Matthew's expression immediately changed into one of fury. Why did you bring this woman here for? Do you think little treasure's condition is not serious enough? To Matthew, Luna's presence was probably worse than a witch or a medium. Even though Yen Rui was not happy, she did not reject her as intensely as Matthew did. She had entirely lost all rationality. Matthew breathed heavily and roared, "Get her out of here immediately." Theo held Luna's hand tightly and was about to say something when Luna shook her head at him, then wriggled out of his hand. Luna did not break down on the spot like Theo had predicted. Instead, what he did not expect was to see Luna's calm attitude towards little treasure, who lay seriously ill on the bed. She did not even care about Matthew's complaints and loud scolding. After she wriggled out of Theo's hand, she made her way towards little treasure's bed. Even though she clearly looked like a weak and gentle girl, her eyes were filled with determination, to the point that all the doctors and peasants, who had heard Matthew's orders and wanted to block Luna's way, all made way for her. When Matthew saw this, he fumed, "Stop right there. What do you think you're doing? Didn't all you hear what I said? Who said you could let her in?" Theo held out his arm and blocked his father, who about to rush out. At this moment, Luna sat on little treasure's bedside. First, she quickly took off the coat on her, then she reached under the thick blanket placed on little treasure. Lastly, she carefully held the feverish and soft little guy in her embrace. Chapter 497. Matthew was so angry to a breaking point when he saw this girl who was so daring as to not listen to his warnings, even using her filthy hands to touch little treasure as she wished. He was about to roar at her, but he did not know why he suddenly shut up. Even though the little bun had long been in a state of confusion due to the fever, once Luna held him in her embrace, it was as if he knew who was hugging him in his subconscious. He immediately used his warm little hands to hold on tightly to the hem of Luna's clothes, and his feverish little face was buried into Luna's embrace. Luna was only pretending to be calm, but because of little treasure's subconscious little action of pulling himself closer to her, her facade faded for a moment. Because there were still too many other people present, she could only force herself to hold it in, and her eyes became slightly glazed over with stubborn tears. At this moment, Luna had already completely stopped caring about the gaze of everyone around her. She didn't care about the doctors, or Father Lu and Mother Lu, who were looking on angrily. Her eyes and heart were only reserved for the weak and suffering little bun in her embrace. Luna hugged the little bun even tighter, then bent over to kiss the little bun's forehead and tiny face before she said with a very gentle tone, "Baby, Auntie is here, don't worry." It was as if that voice of hers held a special power to calm a person down, because not only little treasure, but everyone else present felt like their frustration and chaos subside at the sound of it. Matthew still stood there unmoving, and he forgot about his anger momentarily. The little bun was curled up in Luna's embrace, while his little body continued to shiver slightly. However, the expression on his face was clearly different from the one earlier when he was akin to being tortured in a nightmare. Right now, he seemed assured and contented. Luna adjusted her posture, stood up and let the little bun's head rest on her shoulders. Theo helped Luna adjust the little bun into a comfortable position, then picked up the blanket on the bed to cover his son. After that, Luna started to walk around the room, and as she walked, she started to sing gently, "Sleep, sleep, my dearest baby, Mummy's hands will gently shake you. Sleep, sleep, my dearest baby, Mummy's arms will protect you forever. Sleep, sleep, my dearest baby, Mummy loves you, Mummy likes you." This woman. She actually had the nerves to call herself Little Treasure's mother. How shameless. Matthew should have been angry, but he did not know why. As he watched the woman carry Little Treasure and walk around and singing a lullaby, the raging fire in him did not lash out. Instead, he felt like he did not want to ruin the moment and disturb them. All the doctors and servants on the sidelines, especially the female ones, started to have tears well up in their eyes as they watched the little bun's head rest on the girl's shoulder, his face filled with assurance and love. Sigh, the little master is so pitiful, having to live without a mother's love since such a young age. Actually, at a time like this, a mother's hug, kiss, and gentle lullaby should work even better than any miracle medications. They even thought that if this woman was really the little master's mother, it would be perfect. Margaret had the oddest look on her face. As she watched her dear grandson who lay on Luna's shoulder while he slowly calmed down and even his body stopped the spasming, she suddenly recalled Master Xian Jing's words from the other day. Beyond good luck, beyond good luck. Chapter 498. Luna was not a doctor, so there was no way she knew how to cure illnesses, and she could only use the best of her abilities to console the little bun. Apart from that, there was a strand of telepathy between them that even she could not really understand. When the little bun made a slight movement, cough, frown, or even had a difference in breathing frequency, she would naturally know where he was uncomfortable. She would change her position or let Theo cover the little bun with a blanket, or mumble something into the little bun's ear to indicate that she was still here. Before Luna had arrived, the little bun lay on the bed while his entire body was in an unstable state. No matter how many people took care of him and fussed about him, he still could not calm down. Now that he was in Luna's embrace, his little head leaned on her shoulder and he looked so calm and comfortable. He even entered into a sweet slumber. The doctors who were watching on the sidelines looked at one another and all breathed a sigh of relief, but at the same time, they all kept utter silent, afraid to make a single sound, worried that they would wake the little guy up again. If anything had really happened to the little master tonight, the entire house would be slaughtered. The most serious part of Little Treasure's current situation was not the fever, but his emotions that continued to be high-strung when his body was at its weakest state and needed rest. If he could not fall asleep, it would be hard for him to recover, no matter what illness it was. However, Luna's presence had clearly resolved the most vital problem. Luna had been carrying and coaxing the little bun for a while now, and Theo observed that she had moved her arms slightly uncomfortably. Of course, how could her arm not be tired? Theo made Little Treasure's bed and indicated for Luna to put him down to sleep. Luna looked at the little bun in her embrace and saw that the little guy's breathing had stabilized and he had completely fallen asleep. She then walked slowly to the bedside, bent over, and carefully put the little bun onto the bed. Matthew and Yen Rui eventually calmed down when they saw that. However, just as Luna placed the little bun onto the bed, the little guy's peaceful face immediately scrunched up and his body started to shiver again. As they watched Little Treasure having a fit again, the two old ones were frightened. Before they could even calm down, another attack came up. Luna was obviously the first to notice, so she immediately hugged the little bun again and started to pat and sing to him again. Even though she was pretty much helpless, there were no signs of impatience from her. Even though Theo was worried about his son, he was obviously distressed for his wife as well, so he walked over and had Luna sit down on the bed. "What is it?" Luna hugged the little bun and looked suspiciously. In the next second, she widened her eyes in shock. Theo squatted down and started to personally take her shoes off for her. Of course, even more shocked than Luna was everyone else who stood quietly in the room, as well the devil's parents. Only Tom rubbed his nose, and even though it was an unexpected sight, he was already used to it. After Theo had helped Luna take off her shoes, he lightly put her legs onto the bed and stacked 2 soft pillows behind her to let her lean on the bed frame. He then adjusted her into a comfortable position, before covering her with a blanket. He looked serious when he said with a stern tone that would not tolerate rejection, "You get some sleep for a while too. You rushed over immediately after getting off the flight and you haven't even rested yet." "Oh." Luna hugged the little bun on her lap and nestled into the soft pillow. She was indeed feeling much more comfortable. Chapter 499. Oh. Luna hugged the little bun on her lap and nestled into the soft pillow. She was indeed feeling much more comfortable. Unfortunately, the scorching gazes surrounding her were a little overwhelming. Theo sternly waved his hand and everyone immediately regained their senses from their shock and walked out nervously. They could only guess in their heart, who was this woman that the big master had brought back? Not only did she manage to coax the little master as soon as she arrived, but she even had the big master, who seemed to be void of human emotions, to be so gentle with her. Could it be that this woman is our little master's biological mother? One of the maids said with a look of realization dawning on her face. That's not possible. Didn't they say that the little master's biological mother had long passed away? Otherwise, which woman would be so cruel as to abandon their own child? In fact, our big master is such an excellent man. Perhaps there is something that cannot be revealed. You lot, are you done with living? How dare you discuss such things? If the master and Madame Goldberg find out, be prepared to get chased out. One of the maids with a higher status scolded them and immediately, everyone shut up. In the Goldberg family, the topic about the little master's mother was an unspeakable taboo. Luna's journey plus tonight's shock by the little bun had made her quite tired. However, in the room were still Matthew and Margaret, the 2 old ones. With them standing around her lying on the bed, she felt awkward, what more sleeping in front of them. "Father, Mother, you both go get some rest. I will be here to keep watch," Theo said to the both of them. Matthew looked like he was in a dilemma as he watched his beloved grandson sleeping soundly in Luna's embrace. He frowned and was about to say something when Margaret nudged him, then, "We'll leave now. If there's anything with little treasure, you must let us know immediately." In the living room, Matthew, who had been dragged out by his wife, looked unhappy. "Why did you drag me out for?" Margaret looked hesitant. "Chongshan, don't you feel like that girl is very special?" "What's so special about her?" "It's just that she could coax him. Otherwise, would little treasure and Tingxiao be so charmed by her?" What Matthew was angriest about right now was how he had to watch his own son and grandson be completely under that woman's control and he could not do anything. Little treasure was suffering so much earlier, but once she came, he became better. Is this really just a matter of coaxing? Margaret expressed her disagreement. Matthew knew that he was prejudiced, but there was no way he would admit this, so he argued, "Then, can you tell why was it so?" Margaret started to say, "Maybe, this girl has a good birth chart with prosperous good luck and can bless our little treasure." When Matthew heard this, he said bitterly, "What nonsense are you spewing now?" "How am I spewing nonsense?" This was what Master Xian Jing said himself. Margaret blurted out emotionally. "What did you say? Why would Master Xian Jing say something like this?" Matthew immediately questioned seriously. Margaret evaded her gaze as she answered helplessly, "To tell you the truth, the other day when I asked Master Xian Jing to evaluate the birth dates, I brought along the birth date of this girl too." Chapter 500. You. Matthew was outraged when he heard this. "Why did you bring that girl's birth dates over for? Unless you want to let her into our family?" Margaret's shoulders shrunk and she said, "No way. I was just worried whether this girl would jinx our Tingxiao and little treasure, so I wanted to let the master evaluate." Matthew still felt doubtful, and after cooling down, he shot her a look and asked, "What were the results then?" Margaret looked slightly emotional as she recalled, "We chose so many girls from good families for such a long time and no one stood out. Only Luna, as Master Xian Jing said, had a birth chart which showed good luck, a happy family, prosperity, and lots of children. Although Matthew was mentally prepared, he was still shocked to hear the results. How could this be? Did Master Xian Jing really say this himself? Why would I lie to you for? This were Master Xian Jing exact words, not a single word missing. Master Xian Jing even said that this girl's birth chart is very compatible with our Theo's. Initially, I did not believe too much in it either, and I was afraid you'd scold me, so I didn't tell you. Until today when little treasure fell sick, I recalled his words again. All of us have used up every way possible, and nothing worked. Yet, the moment this girl came, our little treasure's illness immediately improved so much. Even if it was as simple as little treasure really liking this girl, the influence on his illness would not be this huge, would it? Margaret deciphered bit by bit. Matthew listened to this with a serious expression and walked back and forth in the living room. Finally, he decided and said, "The birth chart is only a proxy. How can you believe it to be entirely true? Don't mention this ever again. Besides, whether little treasure has recovered fully is still unknown. What if he later..." "Hey! Can you not curse your grandson like that?" Margaret instantly scolded her husband and looked dissatisfied. "I was just worried about little treasure." Matthew noticed that he had said the wrong thing too and was embarrassed. Matthew deliberated as he thought about Margaret's words earlier. He looked conflicted, and he finally stared at his wife seriously and shouted, "Things like birth charts are baseless." However, someone's true character can be observed from all sorts of aspects. Don't forget why little treasure became like this 2 years ago. It was because we gullibly believed someone like that. Actually, Margaret knew as well that even if Matthew found out what Master Xian Jing had said the other day, his attitude would not change much. When she heard this, she looked pale and nodded. "I was just saying, obviously I will still be careful." Inside little treasure's room. After Matthew and Margaret had left, sleepiness immediately came over Luna. She was worried about the little bun, so she still dared not fall asleep. Theo sat on the bedside and helped her arrange the blankets. "Sleep, I'm here. If anything, I'll call for you." Then, he lightly kissed the girl's forehead. Luna's eyes immediately widened. Theo's move was so shocking that now her sleepiness had reduced by half. Did he genuinely want to let me sleep? Looking at the girl's widened eyes, something flashed across Theo's deep gaze. Apologies. Even though he said he was sorry, what he did was an entirely different story. He leaned over and planted a kiss on the corner of her mouth for a long time, then only did he finally leave. By this time, Luna was already completely wide awake and shocked. Was he taking this opportunity because she was hugging little treasure and dared not move? "Luna, one day you will become little treasure's mother." "My wife."